First, I want to explain where racism comes from and the kind of people that hold racist attitudes. All of my sources will be in the description. So racism has been linked to lower IQs as well as to religious and conservative attitudes. Not to mention that separate studies have been done to show that conservatives and religious people have lower IQs in general as well. It also turns out that conservatives have larger amygdalas, while liberals have more gray matter in their cingulate cortex. This means that conservatives fear more, whereas liberals can grasp complex thinking much better, which is why conservatives are flocking to Donald Trump and liberals are flocking to Bernie Sanders. It is suggested, though not proven due to non-representative sample sizes, that a white person's amygdala activates more when shown an unfamiliar black face than when shown an unfamiliar white face, though I speculate that such would not be the case if one were raised in a diverse environment as opposed to a homogeneous one. Racism itself may have an evolutionary background due to monkeys exhibiting said behavior. Said monkeys are only able to associate something bad with the outsider, like a picture of a spider, but not something good like the picture of food. Whereas one that is a member of the group can be associated with something good. Humans may have also exhibited this behavior when we were still living in tribes, which is understandable for a time when there may have only been a few people for each group living together. This trait may be inherited genetically. It is proven that in mice, fear of a particular thing is inherited from the parent. This explains things like why people are afraid of spiders or snakes, or are still xenophobic. In conclusion, racist people are too dumb to grasp complex ideas and fear everything. So just remember who those kinds of people are the next time you encounter one where they scream the N-word, then drive off like a coward, or say racist crap on the internet from behind their computer screen, then cry when they get doxxed and fired for it. So rise above them as the smart people that I know you can be, or you can just beat the shit out of them, because tolerance of intolerance is cowardice, according to Ayan Hirsi Ali. So now that we've established racist people are dumb tribal monkeys, with science papers backing that in the description, let's move on to some racist people's arguments. Princeton and Harvard both have articles stating that low IQ is caused by poverty. Black people live in poverty on average a lot more than white people do. Poverty also causes higher crime rates. A study in Germany proves that when social stigma is taken away, white people and those of a mixed race have the same IQ. In America, those of a mixed race have a lower IQ, but not in Germany. This is because Germany didn't have its deep south for black people. Maybe had a decade or two of treating minorities like shit, but it's not something that lasted for centuries. The meme of racism didn't spread in Germany as it continues to spread here in the United States either. This means that black people and people of mixed races don't face the prejudices in Germany that they do in America, which keeps them down in various ways. On a side note, it isn't all white people's fault. In the ghetto anyways, black people are called an Uncle Tom for getting educated and finding a decent paying job. This closes the mind of a young black citizen and also keeps black people down. Change must come from both sides. The term Uncle Tom isn't even one that should be used. That Uncle Tom guy sacrificed himself to save black people's lives. Only in the movie did he sell out black people to white people. They should replace the term Uncle Tom with Uncle Ruckus from the Boondocks, or possibly with Pastor Manning, the real-life version. The reason Europe developed into a more advanced society than Africa is because they had more resources to do so. The crops of Europe could be grown on a massive scale and stored, where the crops of Africa had to be grown and harvested on a much smaller scale. This meant Europe could organize into a much larger, richer state, while Africa remained like a tribe. Europe also had the better metals that allowed for them to develop industry. Africa did not. All of this allowed Europe to grow into a strong society. That is the advantage Europe had over Africa. And I know that's a very, very simplified, oversimplified version of history, but that's alright. There is no evidence that suggests genetics play a part in the differences between blacks and whites. I know the gene that gives humans more intelligence over chimpanzees. It's the HAR1F. The human genome has been mapped, and there isn't a DNA sequence responsible for the intelligence differences between whites and blacks. You might try and throw around a few random science papers and form a non-sequitur based opinion on that, but that's not how science works. It hasn't been proven conclusively that intelligence among the races are linked by genetics. Making a conclusion and then trying to find facts that support it is what we call pseudoscience. This is how racists and creationists operate. White people start world wars and leave 60 million dead. Black people just commit petty crimes and occasionally murder over drugs, and occasionally manage to become warlords in Africa. That is still nothing compared to what white people in the American and various European militaries have done throughout history. No, I don't have white guilt, and no, I don't hate myself for being white. I do, however, despise racists. Yes, people of all races can be racists, but only white racists have the power to hold people down. White racists, otherwise known as inbred rednecks, are the reason people want to just nuke the South and Midwest. Don't worry, we'll buy plane tickets for all the minorities to move out to California or something for a while until the radiation clears. Peace or something.